We got history. Got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me. Thinking about what could have happened or what could have been. Finally your face, I know ain't that a sight to see. Take my time, then take your clothes off one more time maybe. Acting like you don't recall it ain't impressing me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Sir Azman and my fellow friends. Today, we would like to discuss about the bacteria. First, do you know what it is bacteria? What are types of bacteria and where it is located in Earth? So, to answer it, bacteria are single-cell organisms that do not belong to either the plant or animal kingdom. Bacteria is a microorganism that we cannot see with our naked eyes due to its small size, which are about 1 to 2 micron in diameter and 5 to 10 micron long. It is commonly come from the domain of prokaryote cell. Basically, in terms of shape, there are 3 shapes of bacteria, which are spherical shape, spiral shape, and rod shape. Then, bacteria can be found in all types of environment on Earth, including soil, rock, oceans, and even Arctic snow. In the human body, there are roughly 10 times more of bacteria cells compared to human cells. For instance, many of these bacteria cells can be discovered in the lining of digestive system. In addition, bacteria can be found in the soil or on decaying plants, where they play a vital role in nutrient cycling.
Prokaryotic cell is surrounded by a plasma membrane and a cell wall, which is to prevent it from bursting or collapsing due to change amount of fluid in the cell. So, in the prokaryotic cells or bacteria, they have a few of organelles, which is conjugation pillars. Conjugation pillars is function for rotating filament that propels the cells. Next is nucleoid. Nucleoid is for controlling the activity of cell and reproduction. Next is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, which is a semi-fluid solution surrounded by the plasma membrane as a support and suspend organelles. The next one is cell wall, which is a structure that provides support and shape of the cell. Next is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is a sheet that surrounds the cytoplasm and regulates entrance and exits of molecules. Next is capsule. Capsule is a gel-like coating outside the cell wall and made up of polysaccharide layer called glycocalyx. So, the function of glycocalyx acts as a barrier between the cells and its surrounding.
Before we continue talking about the function of bacteria, we have to understand the characteristic of our small little friends. Like humans do, we have different characteristics of growth and development like intelligence, aptitudes, body structure, height, and many more. First of all, most bacteria cells are protected by a cell wall composed of the unique molecule peptidoglycan, which is a complex polysaccharide linked by amino acid. Gram-positive bacteria and gram-negative bacteria. Gram-positive bacteria have a very thick peptidoglycan cell wall relative to thin-walled gram-negative bacteria. Plus, gram-negative bacteria are surrounded by a second plasma membrane outside of the cell wall, which often block antibiotic drugs, making infection difficult to treat. But how to distinguish them, ladies and gentlemen? We can distinguish them by performing a procedure called crane stain. This is because the procedure distinguishes bacteria cell wall. Type base of color bacteria appear after staining. Gram-positive bacteria appear dark purple, while gram-negative bacteria appear red.
Plus, we can describe bacteria based on their basic cell shape. The first one is spirally or spirillum for one. It is a spiral shape or helical shaped bacteria. Meanwhile, bacilli such as E. coli are rod shaped. Bacteria characteristics are not limited to the cell wall type and shape only. Do you know that bacteria also can be characterized by their growth arrangement? For instance, staph arrangement describe cluster of cells, strap arrangement describe change, and the last one, my favorite, diplo, it describe a pair.
Bacteria metabolism. We all know bacteria are astoundingly diverse in terms of their metabolic life cycle. With respect to the basic nutrient requirements, bacteria are not much different from the other organisms. Something that differentiates bacteria from the viruses is that bacteria needs oxygen. Most bacteria are aerobic, and like animals, it requires a constant supply of the oxygen to carry out cellular respiration. However, there are also bacteria that are able to grow in the either of the presence or the absence of the oxygen. This little fella is called as facultative anaerobes. But there is also another type of the bacteria that are obligate anaerobes. What is an obligate anaerobe, you ask? In a simple words, these are bacteria are unable to grow in the presence of the free oxygen.
As we all know, autotrophic bacteria are those bacteria that can synthesize their own food. They perform several reactions involving light, energy, photon, and chemical in order to derive energy for their biological sustainability. First, we have photoautotroph bacteria. Photos mean light, auto is self, while troph means food. So by mean, these bacteria create foods by using light or photosynthesis. They use solar energy to reduce carbon dioxide to organic compound. There are two types of photoautotrophic bacteria. The first one is unoxygenic photosynthesis. This type is oxygenic photosynthesis. Contrary to the unoxygenic photosynthesis produces oxygen and conducts both photosystem 1 and 2. Great sulfobacteria and sarcopobacteria carry out oxygenic photosynthesis. These bacteria usually live in anaerobic or oxygen-poor conditions, such as the muddy bottom of the marsh. Other than photoautotroph bacteria, there are also chemoautotroph. Chemoautotroph bacteria carry out chemosynthesis. They oxidize inorganic compounds such as hydrogen gas, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia to obtain the necessary energy to reduce carbon dioxide to an organic compound. On top of that, the nitrifying bacteria oxidize ammonia to nitrates. Then they oxidize nitrates to nitrates. Their metabolic abilities keep nitrogen cycling through the ecosystem.
We, humans, are the heterotrophs. We gain the energy from the eating meat or plants. Surprisingly, there are also bacteria that have the same characteristic as us. Bacteria called chemoheterotrophs obtain carbon in the energy in the form of organic nutrients produced by other living organisms. For example, parasitic bacteria feed on the tissues and fluids of their hosts. In many ecosystems, chemoheterotrophic bacteria, called saprotrophs, serve as the composers that break down the organic matter from the dead organism. It is a blessing that saprotroph exists in this world. Just imagine, we live in a world full of the dead bodies. That would be terrifying. In this life, we live in the community that helps and depends on each other. This is not excluded for the bacteria too, since they form symbiotic relationship among them. Mutualism is a situation where the both species got the benefits from the relationships. For instance, mutualistic bacteria that live in the human intestines to produce the vitamin K and B12 for the production of blood component. In addition, in the stomachs of cows and goats, these bacteria play an important role to digest the cellulose, enabling both animals to feed on the grass. Other than that, they also live in the root nodules of certain plants, such as the soybean, where they are helped to reduce the atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia in a process called nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Next, only one species got the benefits, whereas the others are unaffected, known as commensalism. In example, Staphylococcus epidermidis is one of the bacteria that uses this dead cell of the human skin as net.
Parasitism is a condition where one species got benefits while harming the other. Parasitic bacteria can cause disease known as pathogens. When gram-negative bacteria are killed by an antibiotic, their outer plasma membrane releases a substance called lipopolysaccharide, which acts as a super antigen to overstimulate the immune response. It can cause high fever, severe drop in blood pressure, and possibly cause death. Next, antibiotics are compounds that are active against bacteria to treat disease. So, antibacterial compounds can be categorized into two classes, which is those that inhibit protein biosynthesis by affecting bacterial ribosomes. For example, penicillin and ampicillin inhibit bacterial cell wall biosynthesis without harming animal cells. Besides, genes conferring resistance to antibiotics can be transferred into infectious bacteria by transformation, conjugation, and transduction.
Last but not least, cyanobacteria are gram-negative bacteria with a number of unusual traits. Do you know that cyanobacteria are believed to be responsible for first introducing oxygen into the primitive atmosphere? Another fact about cyanobacteria is they were classified with eukaryotic algae, but now they are classified as prokaryotes. Cyanobacteria can have other pigments that mask the color of chlorophyll, so they can appear red, yellow, brown, or black. Cyanobacteria cells are rather large, ranging from 1 to 15 micrometer in wide. They can be single cell, colonial, or filamentous. Plus, they can serve as food for heterotrophs in ecosystem.
But where can you find cyanobacteria? Well, cyanobacteria are common in fresh and marine waters, in soil, and on moist surfaces. But they are also found in harsh habitats, such as hot springs. Cyanobacteria form lichens that can grow on rocks too. It is also possible that the fungus is parasitic on the cyanobacterium. Cyanobacteria are ecologically important in still another way. If care is not taken in disposing of industrial, agricultural, and human waste, this resulting in no bloom of this organism.